What is the next topic today?
Next up, Danny Rammouni. Hi, John. The Hollywood Reporter just released that Ezra Miller is rewriting a Flash movie script alongside Grant Morrison. Apparently, he's been clashing with the directors over what vision he believes the movie should have. What do you think? I know you say an actor's job is to act, so do you think that it's even professional of him to rewrite the script? Thanks.
All right, so let me be clear here right off the top. I have taken some criticism over the last couple of years because I really like Ezra Miller. And I really liked Ezra Miller as the Flash in Justice League. Now, Justice League had problems, but I liked Justice League. And one of the reasons I enjoyed Justice League because I really liked Ezra Miller's rendition and incarnation of the Flash. I thought he brought a really nice dimension to the film. Like whenever he did or said anything in the movie, I found myself smiling and enjoying it, and it warmed up the movie. It warmed it up a bit. And I just really, really like him in the role, and I like his incarnation. So I have been a big fan of Ezra Miller in this role. I just wanted to lay that groundwork. Now, just so everybody's clear on what it is he's talking about, it was announced a couple of days ago over the weekend that Ezra Miller wants to take a shot at writing the script for Flash. But John, didn't they already have a script? Yes, they did. But he wants to rewrite the script. And he's doing it with Grant Morrison, who's an iconic, legendary comic book writer. And by the way, is the creator of that new show, Happy. But he doesn't have a lot of what you'd call major motion picture screenwriting credits to his name. But still, he's going to do it with him. That's a good pedigree to work with. Here's specifically the details. Now, this comes out of the Hollywood Reporter. The development of The Flash has been bubbled up from a clash. This development, I should say, has bubbled up from a clash of creative visions. John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, those are the directors of the upcoming Flash movie, who have been on board the project since January of 2018, have taken a lighthearted approach to the material and even hail from that sort of background with credits like Spider-Man Homecoming and Game Night. I love both those films, by the way. And as sources note, that is the general track favored by Warner Brothers, which scored a billion-dollar hit with Aquaman by going the fun spectacle route and is seeing strong buzz on Shazam, which is wearing its superheroics is fun on its sleeve. Ezra Miller is said to want a darker take on the material. Okay, so here's where we find ourselves. Right now, we have the directors of the film who were brought on because they are lighter in tone. They know how to deliver a lot of fun, a lot of entertainment. They wrote Spider-Man Homecoming, did a great job on that. They directed Game Night, which I was extremely pleasantly surprised by.
Which has darkness in it.
Yes, which does have dark elements to it, absolutely. But it's still an overall very entertaining film. So they are the directors of the movie, Rob. They're the directors of the movie. And now they're having creative clashes with the actor, Ezra Miller, who I like and I enjoy. And he wants to go in a different direction. Ezra Miller, The Rock has some words for you.
Know your role and shut your mouth.
One more time. The Rock has some words for you.
Know your role and shut your mouth.
You are an actor, Ezra. Know your role and shut your stupid mouth. This isn't your movie. I like Ezra Miller. I've defended Ezra Miller. I have stood up for Ezra Miller. I have championed Ezra Miller's Flash. But you are the actor. This is not your movie. Warner Brothers brought in directors. They're the ones in charge of setting the direction of film. You're not. And this whole idea of the actors clashing with the directors. Why is this an issue? Why is this an issue? Why is Warner Brothers even entertaining this petulant little child and saying, okay, Ezra, you want to take a shot at writing the script, go ahead. Why are they even entertaining this? Warner Brothers needs to step in and say, hey, Ezra, you're a great performer. You bring so much life to these characters, but we hired directors. We hired people who are in charge of bringing this movie to life, and that wasn't what we hired you for. You're the actor. And if you don't want to do this movie, because it's not the movie you want, bye. We've got a lineup of 5,000 other talented actors out here who would kill to take on this role and play Barry Allen and be the Flash in a DC movie. We got thousands of other actors who would love to take on this role. You don't want to do it? Bye. And I'm a big Ezra Miller fan. I think this guy's great as the Flash. But I do not understand more and more the fact that why not just have, you know what, turns out the gaffer, yeah, the gaffer wants a different direction for this movie. So Warner Bros., well, okay, if the gaffer wants a different direction for the movie, we better let him write the script. Like, this is ridiculous to me. This is absolutely ridiculous. They should not be entertaining this. They should just say to Ezra, look, Ezra, we've got directors. They want to go in a direction. And if there's a battle between the director and the talent, bye. So long. This isn't television where the actors have all the power. This is the movies. And if Warner Brothers hired on these guys and they've had success with Homecoming and they've had success with Game Night and they're building something that the report says Warner Brothers likes. Warner Brothers likes what these guys have put forward and the direction they're heading. Why on earth you would then capitulate to an actor who's been in the movies once, been in one movie. Hey, his face appeared for a brief second in Batman versus Superman, but he's really appeared as the character once and given him that kind of power. Ezra Miller.
Know your role and shut your mouth.
And I say that as a fan. I'm a fan, bro. I like you as the Flash. Just do the movie. If you don't want to do the movie, if you're so against what they're doing, then just back off. Just back off, step out, and don't do the movie then. But anyway, Rob, just infuriates me when I see this sort of thing, and it really frustrates me. How do you see it?
Well, here I have a different take.
Okay.
First of all, Ezra Miller is well liked at Warner Brothers. He's in the Fantastic Beasts movie.
Yes, and he has more coming out with them.
As an actor, he's stood by and watched how many creative teams come and go from this movie. He, as an actor, has put up with 4 or 5 directors coming and going, how many different scripts being written, and he stood by. His deal to play Flash is running out. I think it runs out at the end of May.
Yes.
And like Simon Pegg did, Simon Pegg came in and wrote Star Trek Beyond. He came in and rewrote a script because it wasn't working. I mean, Bob Orsi was going to write and direct that movie, and Simon Pegg came in and rewrote a script because Simon Pegg loves Star Trek, and he's a gifted writer in his own right. But I think that Ezra Miller is trying to protect not just a job, but he's trying to protect a character that he's been invested in now for years. And he's watched the studio, frankly, and all these other creative entities come and go. And I think he's like, you know what? I don't think he would normally do this. And I think the studio was behind him, said, okay, try this. And he did get to co-write it with him, one of the great comic book minds of the 20th and 21st century, in Grant Morrison. So if an actor is going to do this, and I look, for the most part, I agree with you. Actors are hired to do their part. You know, like, stay in your lane. But in this particular case, I do admire him taking some ownership over this property, because after all, if they don't work it out in another month or two, he's out anyway, unless they re-up his deal. And I think in this particular case, I do admire what he's doing, and I do admire the collaborator he chose to work with, because he's going A-list in terms of at least comic book writers. And I do admire what he is trying to do.
I would have more sympathy for that position if they just brought on these directors 2 months ago, right? Because I agree. I mean, you raise an excellent point. This is a project that has been in chaos.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things that Walter Hamada inherited. He inherited this mess, and he's just trying to find a way to get out of it right now. But these new directors were brought on over a year ago. They were brought on a year ago. So there hasn't been the same amount of upheaval and chaos that there was up until that point, because there was a lot of chaos, a lot of upheaval. It seems, according to the reports, that these guys have a direction and a story that Warner Brothers tends to like. It's just that Ezra Miller's saying, I don't like that. I want this movie to go in a different direction. Well, who are you? And I will say this. I think there are some fundamental differences between the Simon Pegg situation and this particular situation, but I can't help but wonder, Rob, and let me know if this is just too far-fetched. Warner Brothers over the last couple of years has pulled a lot of PR moves that were simply PR moves to save face. Have Ben Affleck get up at Comic-Con and say, I'm still Batman. Right. Have people say this and have people say that. Could this just be a matter of, look, Ezra's not going to be our Flash anymore. let's create a scenario where it looks like everybody can exit gracefully. Let's have Ezra say, hey, I had a creative vision and I'm going to write a script. And it's just at the end of the day, it's going to be them. We couldn't come together on a creative vision, so Ezra's going to move on. Could it be that it's a foregone conclusion already that Ezra's leaving this project, or am I looking too much into it?
No,
Which might be the case.
I don't think so. I think, and you know what? I'll bet Ezra Miller and Grant Morrison aren't being paid to do this. And the studio is basically, if there's
I think they are. I think it was reported that they're actually been
one
paid
thing.
to
I
do
mean,
it.
but they don't have to be paid like an A-list screenwriter necessarily. And I think that in the case of this particular, again, I think this is an unusual situation. I think it's this particular project. They're like, well, let's see what they come up with. Sure, give the kid a shot. Can't be any worse than what we've already got.
But then what do you do when Ezra Miller turns it in and then they go, and this isn't bad. And you got directors who have been on board for over a year now going, time out. That's not the movie we wanted to make, and that's not the movie we agreed to make. Then what do? You're going to go through another set of directors? Like, this is
why I don't run a studio.
Yeah, man, I mean, this whole, again, and I feel bad for somebody like Walter Hamada, who, again, this was a mess that he inherited. Because there's no denying that Warner Brothers and DC have been going in a much more positive direction lately. And like the whole narrative surrounding DC, which was DC, haha, for a while, despite the fact that I've liked all the films. But now it's like, the next DC movie. Like, they've changed the narrative. They've changed the identity of the franchise. They've changed their path of success. But there's still this Flash thing that's been causing them fits and headaches for years now that they just can't seem to put to bed. And I can't help but feel bad for a guy like Walter Hamada and all that. But anyway, however this turns out, Rob, I hope they get this settled soon. Because either just cancel it or move forward. I just don't know what to do.
Look, I think, as I've been saying to you on this show, I think Shazam's performance is going to have a big impact on this movie. You've got two movies that then would have with Aquaman and Shazam that have provided great fun, great entertainment for the whole family. And I think that is going to prove that, look, this is the direction. Look, a Flash movie, how dark are you going to go for a Flash movie anyway? The Flash is about a guy who runs fast. When he doesn't run fast with a smile on his face. If you can run as fast as the Flash, you're going to be smiling. Your mouth's going to be closed because you don't want to get bugs in it. But still, it's going to be the Flash is supposed to be a happy dude, sort of.
Well, that's the one they've given us so far in the DC universe. But anyway, let's see how this all kind of turns out. Who knows? Maybe they turn in something and it's the next Dark Knight. Who knows?